weekly show of What is School For? This is the sister show of Classroom Without Words. So this show is really inspired by my interview with Seth Godin. And on this show, we interview parents, educators, and students and entrepreneurs. We come to the show, we discuss, debate, and disrupt education. Today, I'm really excited to have Catherine Dunphy to come to the show to talk about something that I personally don't know a lot about, but I want to learn more. That is music and how, as parents and educators, now we can tap into the power of music as a superpower to transform our children's lives. I just love that. So Catherine is the founder of The Magic of Music, and she's also a TEDx speaker. And recently, Catherine gave a very powerful TEDx talk regarding the power of music. I will make sure to share the link in the comment section. You definitely have to watch it. I loved watching that talk. So congratulations. And Catherine worked with thousands of children and big people like us of all ages and abilities to really help them cultivate their musical talent and musical intelligence in very transformative ways. And I can't wait to learn more about them. And Catherine's work has been featured on numerous TV shows, radio shows, publications. So really honored to have you join us live. And thank you so much for your time. And let me know where you are joining us live from.
So where I'm joining you live from,
Yes.
I'm joining you live from a little village in County Kildare in Ireland called Rathangan. So hi, welcome from Rathangan, and so as I told Dr. A, the countryside internet in Ireland isn't fantastic, so hopefully you all guys can all hear me, and I get to tell you all the things that I want to speak to you about today.
Yeah, let me know. Hey, Hanson is joining us live from Singapore. Hanson is an amazing parent, dad, educator himself. And it's like 1 a.m. Oh my God. Thank you for staying up late. And let me know, everyone. We are live on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Periscope, and on YouTube. So let me know in the comment section where you are joining us live from. So let me know that country. I love reading the comments later. And so let me know also if you can hear Catherine clearly. I can't really see her clearly, but I can hear her clearly. So let me know like how this is turning out on your end. So Catherine, share with us why you are so passionate about music. Share that why with us.
Yeah, I see. It's something. It's hi, Angela from Dublin, another Irish person. It's something that I've been passionate about since I was very, very young. And I suppose I was lucky that I was exposed to music from a very young age. My parents really, my parents aren't musicians, but they have a deep appreciation for music. So we grew up with all the different musicals, The Sound of Music, Oliver, Mary Poppins, with vinyls where, we would sing along our favorite songs. We never went on a car trip. There was no tablets and cell phones in car trips. It was sing songs, So we were always singing, we were always playing. What I realized then after, as I get older, was that not everybody had that joy of music, yet everybody has the ability to have the joy of music, and that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I think everyone deserves to have that joy in their lives, regardless of musical ability or whether you're learning an instrument or not. And I feel very passionate about the fact that people put music into a box and they have an idea. Like you said, you don't really know much about music. There's so many people who don't know much about music, and I want to teach everyone about music. Yeah, that's my passion.
Well, thank you for sharing. Like, I want to kind of follow up on this. And so, what do you think are some common misperceptions that parents and adults that we have regarding music? I mean, like in my mind, music is something that like young children play, especially like babies, toddlers as they grow older. And I mainly taught in higher education. We don't really hear music that much. It's kind of on the side. So,
Yeah.
like, share with us, like, what are some based on you have worked with thousands of people. So
Yeah.
what are some common misperceptions that we have regarding music?
Well, I think the biggest one, and this is the one I suppose that everybody really needs to listen to, because people have this huge misconception that to be musical, you have to be able to sing. You have to be able to play an instrument, and you have to be talented at it. And that only the elite people who were born with the talent, or who were lucky enough to get lessons, or who have been exposed to it, are therefore musical. This is the misconception. So as time goes on, people get that becomes even more ingrained in people. And what happens is they go, I'm not music. I can't do music. This whole thing, I can't do music. You don't do music. You are musical. Everybody is musical, right? So this putting it into a box of just people who play instruments is the biggest misconception. And interestingly enough, when I tell people I'm a music teacher, the first thing I'm asked is, "Oh, what do you play?" You don't have to play anything to be a music teacher. What? Oh, you're teaching the children instruments in the class. And I'm going, no, I jump around with triangles and tambourines, and we have a great fun time with music. So yes, I am teaching them, but it's not what everybody's mindset is of sitting for an hour with a teacher, going over a song, learning scales, learning these things. And that's the perception people have. And it's the wrong perception. So, I think that gets in the way of people's musicality. And that's the one that I'd really like for people to, get to go beyond and see music as the massive scope that it actually is.
Wow, this is so powerful because I'm definitely misperceiving the potential of music. When I think about music, as you mentioned, playing an instrument, piano or guitar, violin, all sorts of instrument. So like, so you are saying that is only kind of one aspect of what you are talking about. So share with us when you are working with children. So what are some specific? How do you coach them? How do you work with them? How do you help them like cultivate their musical intelligence or talent besides playing an instrument?
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the biggest skills, and usually the first thing I do when I meet a group of children, and I go into schools, I go into clubs, I go into all sorts of libraries, I go into all sorts of different venues meeting children, and it's not the conventional lesson, because I'm coming in as a specialist teacher into their day, and they don't have that in Ireland. I know they have it in some countries, but the first thing I say to children is, what do you need to be good at music? And even at 4, their answers are, you need to practice, you need to play an instrument, you need to be good at your rhythm. They're all great answers, but it's not what you need to be good at music. The skill that you need to be good at is listening. And we naturally, as people, are lazy about our listening. People don't get that either. People actually, in general, are terrible listeners. And the advance of technology has made us even worse, because we're bombarded with sounds every day. So we sort of don't tune in as we should. And what happens is, when you don't tune into everything, you miss 10 instruments, you miss so many levels of music that you could be good at. You miss like so many levels of joy that a composer intended for you to hear when they wrote their music. If you're an instrumentalist, when you don't have the skill of listening, you could always be a good instrumentalist, but you won't be brilliant. You need to learn how to listen, and we have to train our ear. And as I say to the children and adults when I'm talking to them, it's not ancient. I say to them, you have to look at the ear like a muscle, and you need to train up the muscle to be able to do this skill properly. And if I want to do a marathon, my body is able do a marathon, but I need to train and train and train. And then I'd be able to do a marathon. But within 6 months, if I don't train, I can't go out and do the same marathon. And your listening skills are exactly the same. So the skills I start with children are oral skills. And this is why my lessons can go all the way down to 2-year-olds and 1-year-olds, because developing oral skills can start as early as in the womb, all the way up. So, and you're never too old to learn this skill either. So this is something people, need to start looking at differently as well. The skill of listening. And if you're a good listener, fantastic. But interestingly now, one of the girls who was doing the TEDx talk with me, Joanne Chester, an amazing girl, but she's deaf and she was born deaf. And I said to her before we did the TEDx, because an awful lot of the deaf community were in the audience, and I was worried that my talk then wouldn't be, it wouldn't resonate with them because of the whole thing about the listening. And so we spoke an awful lot about, well, how does that transfer onto the deaf community? And she's like, well, we listen in a different way. We listen through vibrations, and we tune to the vibration, the feeling of the vibrations. So even if you say, well, this is not for me, Catherine, because I'm deaf, so you're talking what you're speaking about doesn't apply. It does. It's just a different way of listening. So yeah, that's the skill.
Wow, that is so interesting. And we're losing you a little bit, but I can kind of gather what you have mentioned. So when you are saying like listening, so what are we listening to? Like, is there anything specific that you are guiding our children to pay attention to? What is the thing that they're listening to? I just want to unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I know you've said to people before the show, parents are so concerned of, skills, and yes, yet listening the better. And it starts with as simple as getting them to pay attention to the sounds around them. That's where it starts. So it's like, stay silent for 30 seconds. What do you hear? What do you really hear? What's the difference between the engine in a car and a truck? It's the pitch of the engines. How do you know that the beep there is in a train or a car? The pitch of the train or the car. And I go from there with my very young kids. I do it with all my kids, but I go from there slowly to clapping out rhythms and getting them to clap the rhythm back, or getting them to recognize the rhythm when I clap one. My favorite one is, don't clap this rhythm back. And they have to learn that sentence. And then when they hear the sentence, just in the clapping, they're like, don't clap this rhythm back, and they don't clap it back. But that's their listening skills. They now recognize that rhythm. That's just one example. Another example is, if you have little chime bars, little glockenspiels or xylophones, and to hit the different notes on them, you don't need the piano. Take this or the thing, and you go, is that high? Is that low? And then for them to guess and do an action to go along with it. Because it's been proven educationally that when you use your body to learn something, it goes in much, much quicker. To have them down on the ground for a little, have their knees. And that game is very, very interesting, because you do identify every now and again the odd child who was born naturally with perfect pitch. But let me tell you, I teach thousands and thousands of children, and I've done for the last 23, 24 years. They are few and far between. The rest of us learn. We teach our ear to learn it, and the more you do it, the better you come. So you could be there with your child, have a piano in front of you, and hit 3 notes and ask them what they hear. And it starts there. So simple.
Yeah. Oh, wow, this is so powerful. I love how you mentioned, when you are involving your body, we can learn a lot better. So this is so cool, because when you think about traditional classrooms, many of our students, they are just passively sitting in a classroom. They are definitely not involving their whole body. So maybe that's why they're not absorbing much of the information that the teacher are saying. So I wonder, maybe if you can share with us, how can we leverage music to help our children learn some other subjects. I don't know if this is a good question. Like other subjects, like maybe math,
Mm,
and like maybe history, like other subjects that seem to be a little bit dry. So
yeah.
how can we kind of integrate, like leverage music as a channel to learn other subject matters?
Oh, and this is like this. I love this question. This is a great question, because one of the things I go into schools when I'm called in to deal with the teachers and train the teachers, one of the things I ask them to think about doing is creating not just a music lesson, but creating the school as a musical environment, as a musical entity. So when you walk into the school in the morning, there's relaxed, calm music in the corridors, bringing everybody into the zone of learning. I mean, I won't bore you with the science of the effect of music on the brain and on the emotions. People are coming from children to big, all sorts of situations in their home that morning. And so you get the frame of mind of learning. And a really simple way is to just have background music. Every school can do that. Every school is an intercom system. And then all you need to do is research, what would be the best type of music, to bring sort of endorphins in the person's body, to put them in the name of mind of learn. Because teachers have a lot. I mean, they say all the time, of course, I don't do music because I'm not really musical and I'm a bit scared of it. And I'm like, but you don't need to do anything except when the children walk into your classroom, have like classical music playing. It's simple until you're ready to teach. When they're doing art, put on classical music or some other kind of nice, soothing music. Like, for example, Pachelbel's canon. That has been proven. The chord progression within it has been proven to release endorphins in the body, to bring about relaxation, to bring about increased intellectual, mental capacity. And that's why Pachelbel's canon and the chords have been used in so many pieces of music since it was composed. And very interesting. But yes, I believe it should be brought into every subject. When it comes to maths, music and maths are really closely linked because rhythm is counting. Rhythm is counting. So the magic eight is something that inside our body, it resonates. Get anyone to go to a nightclub. When you get 4/8, which are 32, your ear and your whole body is waiting for the music to change instinctively. And when it doesn't, you're like, oh, no, they didn't put in a change. That's what the DJ wants to you decide on the next 32 when you change. These are little things you could bring into your maths, help children with their multiplication. There's so many. I could talk to you for the next hour about how to bring music into so many subjects, and it would make learning so much more fun. Because I was the type of child who sat in primary school with way too much energy. And it was really hard. I found it really difficult sitting still all day and trying for a person who naturally needs to jump around. And when you let me jump around, I then would sit down and listen for a little bit and then jump again and listen again. And my listening was so much more increased. So I don't know, when I come into the room, they have to listen to me talk and teach them something for about 5 minutes, but they know that following that, they get to do a physical activity to cement in the learning, and it really works, really works.
Wow, this is so good. And I think almost all the children, like even for me, if you just ask me to sit in front of my computer for 5 hours, not even moving, I would feel so like suffocated. I can't even be creative. So I think what you just described can be applied to not just children, like younger kids, but older boys and girls, and even bigger people, like older people like us. So I love that. Yeah. So what, like,
the way adults are the worst at that. I've sat in front or stood in front of so many adults. They actually move nearly more than if you could believe that, because they go into standby mode really, really quickly, and they're sitting and I'm talking about subject matter that's very interesting and I think exciting. You can see their eyes start to close. So I'm like, no, guys, we're getting up now and we're going to do a dance. And they're like, we weren't expecting this. But sometimes it's a week of lectures I do with them, and the learning at the end of it, because every single thing I do with them is accompanied by a physical exercise, a physical doing. They don't sit down for longer than 10-15 minutes in my lectures. Now, I'm probably going to frighten an awful lot of teachers who want to come on my training course this year. But it works.
So when you let's say that they sit down for like 10 to 15 minutes, they learn something, and then they start to move around. So that moving activity or like musical activity, is there any connection between that activity to the subject matter they are learning? So in other words, do you design the activity based on what they are learning, or like any musical activity will help?
Yeah, I suppose because my background is education. I'm trained secondary and primary school teacher. I couldn't actually, when I was writing the program, it wasn't a case of let's just have fun with music. There has to be a learning progression within the lesson. Or me as a person, I couldn't do it actually. I have to have a point for every single thing that I do in my lesson. Otherwise, first of all, the learning is diminished. Second of all, me personally don't get any sense of satisfaction from it. So like if I did that high-low game with the timers, we would progress from there to, let's say, something where it goes, clef. So they do a bit of literacy, but it's connected in to the high-low notes. And then when we listen to a piece of music, I'm like, okay, can you hear a high instrument or a low instrument? So that's just one example of a progression. So yeah, the action, whatever they're doing with the action, is directly connected in with the lesson. Absolutely. Because I think that children need a train of thought, and then what they need is they need a concept beginning until it's a learning experience. So yeah, the program is very set out. And yes, anything can happen in the classroom to change it, but there's an outline program that has learning objectives so that the children who do the program, their musicality is completely increased.
Wow, it's great. And so I wonder if you can share with us, because many of my viewers, we are kind of entrepreneurs, and many of us, we don't really believe in so much in the traditional education with supplements, and many of us will also homeschool our children. So for people like us, we want to really raise happy, resilient children. And how can we like implement some of the things you just described at home? And or maybe you can even share with us, how do you incorporate music into your own parenting as a mom? And so share some tips that we can supplement this if our children are not learning. I love how you mentioned, school needs to create an environment that is infused with music, and I don't think many schools are doing that. So I think our as parents, we have some of that responsibility. So share some tips with us that we can supplement. We can help cultivate our children's musicality at home, like some practices that we can implement right away.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, there's so many things. I mean, the first thing I just said to you, the nice soothing classical music on in the background. I mean, it's a no-brainer, and it's very good. Now, there's certain type of music for certain moments, and music creates that emotional response within your body. So, excuse me. So it's about being mindful about what music you have on. So, and what it is you're trying to achieve. So you want to try and do, reading and focus the brain. You're going to go for quite classical music. If you're building up for a physical activity outside, get a bit of upbeat music on, beforehand, so that the endorphins are already generating within the body and the energy is rising for that activity, but also you're increasing their musicality. When a piece of music is played, get them, ask these questions every single time. What do you hear? What instruments are playing? Is it fast or is it slow? Is it loud or is it quiet? Is it happy or is it sad? Do you like it? If so, why? If not, why not? It's just about, bringing them to a different level. And this is the question I love, and I put in my TED talk as well, which is, you know, people actually listening to the piece of music. It's so simple. But if I was to say to you, what's your favorite piece of music or your favorite song? And you go, no, it's such and such, or I like this as well, and I like that. And I go, now tell me the instruments that play that music. Most people are like, I know I've listened to it 1,000 times. I actually don't know, because I never listened. I hear it, but I never properly listened. I never took it apart. There are loads and loads then, because an awful lot of people don't feel confident to concretely say, that's definitely a violin. So they're afraid to tell their child it's a violin if they don't know for sure it's a violin. And that's fair enough. But there are loads and loads of, now we're so lucky with technology, there are loads of YouTube clips of every instrument in the orchestra and people playing them. Expose your children to those. So take out the instruments of the orchestra and then go to YouTube and take the 5 main instruments in the string family and go and find examples on YouTube and let them listen. And then bring it in. I mean, that you could do that now. I mean, bring it in then to their learning that day of the high-low note on your glockenspiel. Or if you have a piano. If you have none of those things, don't worry. There are online pianos you can play with. There are so many resources online that do the job for you, so that you don't have to, feel that, I'm not really quite sure. But I suppose then, bringing it even to a more simple stage and a bit of fun as well. You're there, mum, you're busy, you want your children to be educated during the time they're with you, and you need to make the lunch. So what's your children going to do when you're making the lunch? Well, you open a designated drawer, I would advise, with pots and pans that you probably don't want to use anymore. And you get them forks and spoons and knives, and get them to enjoy it. Or hang music on their pots and pans. That's brilliant. And then there's a rhythm group called Stomp online, and Stomp are English, but they just use things from the environment to make the rhythms. So you don't have these expensive musical instruments in order to start buy a box of instruments. I mean, wonderful if you want, but your drawer, your house, if you look around the room, you have so many instruments you never even thought as instruments. So I'd advise, look at Stomp. Very, very inspiring in terms of that. And then for the instruments of the orchestra, look up yourself and see what the main instruments are in each family, and then go from there to the YouTube clips. That's just some examples, but yeah, there's so much you can do at home. And I agree with the whole thing of, structured everything in the education. Whilst I'm in it, you will see I've left it. I left it for a reason, because I found it too stifling. I found it too rigid to be going in every day with this program written by these people who will never know these children in front of me, and who can't turn around today and change them to suit what's going on in the classroom. I can do that. And I love that. I love my job. And that's why I left the mainstream for my permanent pensionable job, was so I could step outside that rigid education system that doesn't work for so many kids.
Wow, that part resonates so much with me, because that's also why I left. I left last year from my professor position. So what going back, I love what you are talking about here, talking about the traditional educational environment. So what do you think, based on your experience of working with so many students and even adults, and what do you think are some of the important missing links in our traditional educational system?
Well, I mean, the first of it all is that while we always talk about child-centered this and child-centered that and child-centered the other, and there's all these lovely documents about child-centered stuff, the actual reality on the ground is not child-centered. It's around a structure that everybody has to adhere to in the day. And so while I'm pleased, I'm not having a go at educators in the mainstream system. The educators I meet in the mainstream system are absolutely doing their very, very best, and they're absolutely amazing. I meet amazing teachers every day, but their job is to adhere to this structure, regardless of what's going on. They need to get these curriculums done, these books filled, these testings That has to be done. And if they don't do it, there's like there's they could be brought under disciplinary process, from the powers to be for not adhering to the system. And why isn't it done? They might have the happiest kids in front of them because they decide to do their own thing, but it doesn't fit in with the system. I thought that myself when I was in the classroom, but stepping outside it and looking in so many different educational settings, like I see it's a real difficulty, it's a real problem, and especially for people who have a passion beyond just standing and doing their job, which so many people do. But I just don't think they know what to do when there's such a structured system. And the system was written years ago. I'm sure it's the same all over the world. And we have a different generation of individuals sitting in front of us now. And we're trying to fit them in, a square box into a round hole. And we're seeing the results of it. It's very difficult, for an awful lot of the children. And teachers are finding every single day job is just getting more and more stressful because the kids in front of them are getting more and more difficult. It's not that the kids are getting more difficult, it's because the education system no longer meets the needs of the children. So therefore, they're finding it very hard, which makes it hard for the teachers, which makes it difficult.
100%. We are pretty much using an old system to educate our 21st century students and prepare them for the future. It doesn't work, right? How can you use an old tool to prepare our children for the future? I feel like it doesn't really work. I love how structure. When you think about it now, as I think about it, right? Even for the musical classes that we took, and only at these hours, at this day, you are expected to be musical. I think that's where we got that misperception regarding music. Only when I go to a music class, I learn music. Only when I go to a math class, I learn math. But in life, everything is so well integrated. And based on what you have just shared with me, almost like I feel like everything I do, there's almost a musical component to what I do. So it is so powerful. Yeah, I also
it is that link. Every subject that you do, there's a cross-curricular link with music. And instead, I don't know what your education system is like, but I'm sure, they're all fairly similar, to be honest. But in Ireland, in the primary system, you have, as a teacher, the obligation to do 2.5 hours of music during the week, which means that that's where you box it into, like you quite rightly said. It's music time now, rather than come in the morning and go, good morning, sing the morning in, and then, put on a song and get the instruments and then do something different, or sing your maths tables. That's music. It's like, if there was more integration and less kind of, of this now need to do our Irish time. You should be speaking Irish as a language all day long throughout the day. That's why our language is dying, because we have designated half hours for our language during the day, which everybody hates, rather than using it passively, as the day goes on. That's how people learn,
Amen. Now, talking about classroom without walls, I believe the best education happens outside the classroom. As you are applying, you are using, you are involving your body. It's like a part of your life, as opposed to, I'm going to this class. That class is the only time, like my own children, that's my only time to learn Chinese, which hasn't been working until like so far. It's just like a waste of our time. So I also love how you were talking about, like our children are, because of the structure so rigid. I can't even tell you how much my own children, that's why I have decided to homeschool them. They complain about school, and they go to a pretty good school. They already have lots of autonomy. But my older son, he's just like, and today he's actually at home. He's like, I just cannot go to school anymore. I was like, wow. So talking about stress, like you mentioned in your TEDx talk, that music has this amazing healing power to heal our emotion. And that really got my attention, because I know research has shown like mental health and depression, like all those issues is growing increasingly. And the number, even students committing suicide. And so how can we apply music, tap into music to really heal our emotions or maybe stress. Can you give us some like tips and like maybe exercises, activities that we can do at home with our children, like maybe children older, like teenage age, older children?
Yeah, I mean, and that's true. I mean, about the whole thing that music reduces the stress, and like I called it in my TEDx talk, our superpower, because it is. It's the superpower within all of us. First of all, you really do have to peel back though the misconceptions that come with music. So, for the older children, you have to get back into that whole thing that they are musical. First of all, they have to believe that there's music inside them, because if they don't believe that, well, then they won't actually naturally turn to it in order to use its healing power. And we're generally disempowered with this notion of music for the elite quite early on, because it's so powerful that if we have all these generations of people in their power and very strong and all healed and all well, a lot of people are out of a job. So we're
It reminds me of a saying also in a documentary, like 70% of what we eat is to keep the doctors alive. 30% keep us alive. This reminds me yeah. So
never mind the politicians who everybody will like suddenly go, hey, I don't think so. No, I've got my superpower going on here. Nobody wants that. So my advice, well, if you've got young children, start building this confidence in them from the early age, in giving them musical instruments, like even if it's just a shaker, or they make their own one, even better still, to accompany a piece of music. Empower them in the musicality that's within, and don't criticize them for being out of time or out of tune. That's their timing. That's their tune. It's traditional measures that we now use to decide what's musical and what's not. Somebody absolutely belting out a song completely out of tune, who am I to say that's terrible? That's their tune. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's their, and when you sing, you release so much from your stomach upwards, and your stomach is your feeling center. So if you learn to sing and sing with everything, regardless of whether it's in tune or not, from a very young age, you're breathing into your tummy, which is where your power lies. So we forget to breathe as human beings, and that's our biggest difficulty. So when we breathe, and when you sing, you breathe in a subconscious way. So you're teaching your children to breathe without going, now we're going to have a breathing lesson. Nobody wants that, but if you get people to sing, they'll sing along, go into your tummy, and that's where it starts.
I think this is so powerful. I think this should be applied to from baby, infant to older people like us, right? So I can share a quick story because I'm really into meditation. And some of you may know this teacher, Dr. Joe Dispenza. So I love his work. And I went to 2 of his meditation retreats, a week long. So every single day, we always started our meditation with a group dance, right? Everyone's on stage, like dancing and singing. I was like, wow, that just makes me feel so refreshed. Like even before the meditation started, I was like, my stress was gone. Like it was so imagine when that at home, every day in the morning, instead of the hustles, this and that, get ready, brush your teeth, actually play some music, have a dance. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and you know your own children, so I can give you some tips.
Yes, please. I need.
But at the end of the day, if I said now do this and then do this and then do this, we're getting back into structured education. Well, you have to look at your children and who they are and their little personalities or their big personalities as usual, and then decide, what mood are they in today? And decide from that, rather than I have a list of things that I made out last night, but last night isn't what it is today. Today, they're not in the mood for that. And you have to be able to kind of apply the correct sound to go with the correct moment, but if you take the main concept behind it, which is Music teaches you to breathe. Music brings you into your power. You don't need to be traditionally talented at music to be musical. You are musical. You just need to bring out where your musicality is. And you need to get the idea out of your head that to be musical, you have to be good at playing an instrument. And if we could develop that concept in everybody, it would just be amazing. Like you said, start the day off as, let's do something upbeat. Let's even just roll our shoulders to the beat of the music. Great. It's simple. It's quick. In the car, ban all the tablets and all that kind of stuff from the car. Sing a song, get your favorite song. Everybody, I guarantee you'll arrive at your destination in a far better humor, than even if it's not your type of song. The joy of your children singing in the back will bring you joy. And that's the joy of music. It's contagious,
Yeah. You just give me an idea. Maybe I should even make some of the Chinese words that I want to teach my own children into a music,
Music. Yeah.
Maybe it's more interesting to learn that way.
Yeah, because I know that in Ireland, some of our schools are Gael schools, and so nothing but Irish is spoken all day in the Gael schools. So, like today, for example, I was in a Gael school in Knockline in Dublin, and I've been going there for years, and it fascinates me to walk into a junior infant class and see them like listening to the teacher just chatting away to them in Irish, and for them to understand what she's saying. But interspersed between talking, they're all singing a song in Irish. So they're learning it through song. And then the teacher sometimes puts pictures on the board as well while the song is playing. So it's definitely the way to learn a language is through song and then through total immersion your day. It works. It's great,
Yeah, this is so powerful. You give me so many great ideas. And I also want to ask you, I was looking at your bio and you what you do besides working with children. You just give us so many great examples. You also mentioned how you apply music to corporate trainings in terms of team building. I was, to be honest with you, I was like shocked. I was very surprised to read that. I was like, what? I really couldn't conceptualize or draw the connection between music and team building and corporations. So can you help me connect the dots? So how can we apply music to team building within corporation settings? And my next question after that is how can we translate that into our family environment? But first explain, how do you do that? Team building and music as
I really enjoy it. It's an awful lot of fun, and I think companies that do it really enjoy it as well. I was inspired to do that by the fact that as a teacher years ago, I also worked with an events management company called Company Occasions. And the man Roland, who was the director of that company, his way of doing team building and stuff was by the box, which is why I liked it. And so all of his team building, had actors, had music, had a lot of activity, and stuff like that. So for me, then, to take my program in as a team building thing, natural progression on to do. Just to let you know, you just said yourself, you'd be like, oh my God, how do you bring that to the corporate world? Well, most corporate leaders don't tell their teams they're doing a team building workshop because they're afraid they won't turn up because of this whole idea that music is not for everybody. And so what they usually do is they bring me in after lunch, having done a big sort of session earlier on, think tanks and all sorts of things where the employees are sitting down all day. And then during lunchtime, I quickly set up drums and all sorts of things around the room. So when they come back in, the drums and stuff are there waiting for them. And then what we do is once we build up, we usually do a kind of a team movement activity. And the team movement activity means everybody is moving at the same time. There's a great power to people moving together, and itself builds up teamwork, team building. And it's in that way, because there's something about humans, we were born to be community. I know that modern life puts us in individual roles, an individual walls on either side, we can't see anybody. You're individually working on a project. I'm not much for that. So it's on a team building event for corporate to get people working together. That translates into their workspace then, where they have a feeling of connectivity between one another. And then usually I bring in the drums. And there's something very powerful about drumming together. Anyone who's done a drum circle will know that. And once again, it's not dependent upon how good you are. Some people are afraid, I have a very good rhythm. And some people have practiced their musicality. So the rhythm is amazing. But interestingly, when you get a group of adults, there's always one or two actually do have good rhythm. And I'm the leader and I have good rhythm. And as the time goes on with the drumming, we bring along the people who are amazing. There's an energy goes through the group of people until we are beating the one rhythm. And people can't believe that. I never was able to do that. But it's the joy of achieving something as a team. It's very powerful. Not to mention the de-stress that it brings to people in the company. Their productivity has risen. There's so much, and even just to talk to them and encourage the work environment to play in the background. There's certain companies who play music in the background, and their statistics have been proven that the productivity and the happiness of their workforce is increased. It's been proven, So yeah, there's lots you can do for it.
I think we lost you, Catherine. We're losing. It was so like she mentioned so much. You mentioned so many great points. I'm trying so hard to hear her. What is that? What is that? I'm sure, like, oh, this technology, right? Like, it can be. I know, like, I can get a little bit, but you mentioned so many powerful examples. But anyway, and so I want to like you mentioned, kind of de-stress. Any other kind of benefits of like and like the employees received as a result of receiving this type of like musical therapy and like team building training as a result of listening or playing some of the activities you mentioned?
Yeah, and for the workforce, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like you probably missed what I said there, but yeah, studies have been done that people who incorporate teams where music is incorporated in the workplace, the levels of productivity and the happiness of the workforce has been proven to be increased. And so, from the point of view of a company, investing a little bit of money in music workshops or putting in speakers so that music can be kind of unobtrusively in the background or even in the foyer of the workplace, people come in and creating that environment, it has an effect. It de-stresses people, therefore people are happier, therefore people work better, people get better ideas, they're more creative because the creativity juices are flowing. It's a no-brainer, increase group of people and they'll get the same amount done through actually just incorporating music into the program. So there's an awful lot of benefit to it. And like I said, it brings the sense of camaraderie between people, between workers, that they achieved a goal together, and that feeling of togetherness can't be underestimated, because a company that really wants to work well, it needs to work together.
Yeah, I so agree. Yeah, we have almost 30 people join us live right now. We're all trying so hard to hear you, Catherine. And I also shared the link to Catherine's TEDx talk in the comment section, so everyone make sure you check it out. And like I want to ask you specifically, because I have 2 children and 2 boys. One thing they do a lot is to fight. They are constantly fighting whatever, toys, food, whatever. So like, how can we apply like music? I don't know. I want some tips that I can apply to use music as a way to interfere. Like, I don't know, bring more peace between them and make it a little bit more playful when I'm trying to solve their conflicts.
Yeah. That's a tough one. But I suppose, you know, if you took the idea from earlier on of creating your home as a musical environment,
Yeah.
you could probably anticipate the rising of emotions before it gets to the point of where the fight comes in. I mean, if there's a general ambiance of, you know, of calm, and that's very difficult in a house, you know, especially when it's busy. I'm a mother of 2 children too, you know, and I certainly don't get it right musically all the time either, you know. But to maybe, you know, put on nice soothing music, you know, at different points in time, you know, be aware if they are watching television programs. Be aware of the background music in those television programs. Some of the background music is very discordant, and it's very sharp, and it actually can bring stress into the body. You know, like, with it's subconscious. So, you know, this is why those computer programs like Fortnite and the fighting computer programs, the music in the background, you know, brings up an emotion. That's what music does, but it might not be a positive one. You know, so be very mindful of the music that they are listening to, and I suppose encouraging them that when they start to feel their emotions rising, that they have their own types of music that work for them. Everybody's different. So I suggested in my next talk and to all kinds of people, have a list of music, you know, in anticipating the need for an emotional release. So have a piece of music that would be good for releasing anger. Have a playlist of music that would be good for when you need to relax. Have a playlist of music that would be good for, you know, a happy time, you know, when we want to dance, so that you're not like, oh, I can feel now you're angry. Let me go and have a look for a song for that. That's not going to work. You need to anticipate the required music, put it into a playlist, and then just go to it. But it's about making going to your music list a natural part of your day, rather than, and now I'm going to sit down and listen to my music. You know, you're not being mindful. Yeah, you're not being mindful about how you're doing it. So therefore, you're not getting the full benefit from music. Whereas if you're mindful, you're going, I'm feeling stressed now. Let me get my stress list and I put it on. Now you're using your superpower. Now you're thinking about it. Now you're doing something proactive about your stress before it gets to the point of where you can't think anymore because you're too stressed. So just get used to doing that. And that would be my advice.
I love this. I'm going to, like, I also wonder, like, we have quite a few people joining us live right now, and share in the comment section, what is your favorite music to play for your children? I want to learn, so I can create such a list and just even have the music going on in the background all the time and anticipate, you know, by the end of the day, that's kind of, you know, especially if they go to school, kind of inside the school day, they have so much emotions build up, and so like just play music help them release. So I'm going to try this. I really love this tip. I definitely don't have I have a list for myself, but never occurred to me that I need to create a separate list for my children. So I'm definitely going to do this. So any other resources, tools that you can share with us or with the parents, that we can help our children and really, you know, tap into music as a superpower to transform their lives in meaningful ways?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked me that, because one of the other apps, and I'm sure parents have heard of it and have used it, is the Calm app. And the Calm app is specifically developed to bring a sense of calm to children at night, especially at night time, but at any point in time during the day. And the music has been very carefully, I really like it. I use it with my own children. Very carefully thought to induce a sense of just breathe It's really helpful before bed. And it's really, you know what? I love what you said there about school, because I'm in education every day. You were in education every day. Most of the people who aren't in education only have an idea of education from the time they were themselves in school. But they don't realize how busy the education day is for these little children. It is full on. They go from this to this to this to this. It's information again and again. I actually think they should scrap homework. The last thing they need to do when they come home is more homework. There's no learning goes on with homework. Maybe go out and ask them to go and smell the flowers. That would be beneficial. But this thing, just like a calm piece of music when they come out, because there's so much having gone on, will be very beneficial for your kids. And just that kind of realization and mindfulness of what it is that they've actually experienced all day in school. Yeah, I like the Calm app. Like I said, you can create iTunes lists. Just you have to spend money on that. The Spotify is free unless you want to pay a little bit of money. I paid a little bit of money because it helps me create my lists without ads. And advertisements jar for me, gets rid of that action that you just created. And be mindful of the music that they're listening to, especially like in their computer games, in their TV programs. It is carefully picked to evoke an emotion in us. Carefully, that they spend as much time developing the animation as they do picking out the music.
Yeah.
They know the power of it. And when you're mindful of that, when you realize it's our superpower and you know the effect it has, well, then you can go, actually, I want my children. That's not
Yeah.
Be aware of what's going on around you. Be aware of the stress rising in you, because there's a piece of music designed to stress you out, going for whatever reason. There's some restaurants that want you in and out. They generally put on type of music you don't want to listen to, annoying music, so that you feel like leaving. It's very powerful if we're mindful.
So true. Yeah, everyone loves this no homework policy. I agree. They already spend their whole day overly structured, right? Every single minute is structured. There is an activity. And for me, recently, I have discovered, because I create lots of content, oftentimes a creative idea will come to me when I'm actually spacing out. Not anything, not actually doing anything. I'm just like stretching my body. Maybe, hey, then there's a great idea. I think we need to give our brain some space to connect this information, connect the dots. But our children, they don't really have like lots of opportunities to do that. So here's, I know we're almost running out of time, but this is a really good question from Alice, and thank you for joining us. And she asked, nowadays, like you see children on their headphones all the time, and the music is so loud. Like I was like, wow, you're going to lose your hearing, because I can hear their music from so far away. So when children are doing their own independent studies, doing their homework, they oftentimes have their earphones on. Do you think that's a good practice? Or like any concerns, any limitations that we should like put on, like concerns that we should have as parents? So share that with us. Do you like practice or no?
Yeah. Good question. Thanks a million for asking. The damage that you can do, like you weren't designed to have music up close, that close to your ear. That it wasn't designed for that. Like even people who play instruments, you see them, they have plugs in their ears because the instrument is so close, and any of a certain generation of musicians, actually, unfortunately, their hearing is absolutely terrible because they didn't protect their ears, and that's because it's too close. So I know the point of it, and I know it's very difficult to have your own personal music going on if there's 6 people in the house without them. Like, be very mindful of the volume that it's at. There is dangers in the volume, unfortunately, and they will damage their hearing. Without it doesn't matter what the marketing is. These are okay. There's protection here for your children's ear. There's not. The little hairs in your ears get damaged if it's too loud, and it's irreparable. It's irreparable. So just be. I keep an eye. There's a practice.
Are listening like to classical music, something as you mentioned earlier that is conducive to their well-being. We should still be mindful of the volume.
Volume. Yeah.
Okay.
Volume. Absolutely. I mean, I feel like stopping some people if I'm on public transport with them and I can hear their music. I feel like tapping them on the shoulder and go, "You're damaging your hearing. I can hear your song." Like,
And it's so common nowadays, like public transportation, especially when I go to the gym. I'm like, wow, I could just hear this person's like very big. I was like, wow, yeah. So really, really good to hear that. I think a better way at home is that we can use a speaker to play some really nice soft music and for the kids and keep the music going on. Yeah.
the music, and then maybe a little in their bedroom. Then maybe if they want to play their own music.
Yeah. Awesome. This is so great, Catherine. Even though we lost you from here and there, and the parts that we could hear you was amazing. So many great tips, and everyone loved it. And I definitely developed a list of things that I want to implement after this interview. So this is great. So share with us where can people learn more about you, connect with you, and keep learning from you.
Okay, yeah, no, absolutely. And one really nice thing, especially if you're homeschooling your children, is that I did a whole series of live lessons, and I uploaded them onto my YouTube, which is The Magic of Music IRE, and I have them on my Facebook page, which is The Magic of Music IRE as well. So if you go onto either my Facebook or go onto my my YouTube, there are lessons there, and I'm speaking to the camera, and there's children there too. So your children get the experience of connecting in with other children and following along with me instructing the lesson. And all the parents need to do is give hands to hit along with and stuff like that. So that would teach an awful lot more. My TEDx talk is up there. Another corporate talk that I did on the power of music is up there. But they're my best ways. I'm developing my website at the moment. It was just gone out of date. So that will be www.themagicofmusic.ie. My email is Catherine Dunphy. Catherine at themagicofmusic.ie or info@themagicofmusic.ie, and I'm on LinkedIn as well, The Magic of Music IRE too. So I'd love to hear from you. Love to hear from you.
Yeah, we have definitely learned a lot from you. You definitely know what you are talking about. So what I have here is Catherine's Twitter handle. From the Twitter, you can connect with her on different places. So this is really great. Thank you for spending your Friday evening with us and teaching us so much about music, musical intelligence. And I loved it, and everyone loved it. So thank you so much for your time, Catherine. And thank you so much for joining us live, everyone. So next Friday, the same time, same location, I have another amazing guest coming up. So keep the conversation going. Let's discuss, debate, and disrupt education. So have a great weekend, everyone. And thank you again, Catherine.
Thank you. Bye.